Okay, so now that we have our bass and our melody, we can move on to starting a basic drum pattern. Obviously, we can start with the kick first. I've loaded up Sonic Academy Kick 2. I think I used a combination of samples, but I want to sort of demonstrate that we could also do this with a plugin. So we'll start with this. We can make it a little longer. And I like that it's in G already because G is the fifth of C and we're in the key of C, so that works as a appropriate tuned note for the kick. So we don't really need that huge pitch envelope. Could be a little lower. So we don't want it too boomy because there is a heavy bass there already, but we do kind of want something that has some oomph in it. And I actually like the top end that we have on it right now. So let's make a new track, and we're actually going to make this a drum rack. And what we're going to do is use the really awesome feature that this has and render the kick. You can put that audio channel somewhere here. And the reason I'm doing that, I'll show you shortly, but it's basically to have more control over that kick outside of the plugin. So we can do 100 velocity, draw out the MIDI notes, loop that. It's way too loud. And I like doing this because, mute that, I can create a second one, bring the release down and the sustain down, maybe make 500 milliseconds decay. And now I have this like a pre-kick almost, like the kind of kick that you can use at the beginning or the end of the song, or as like a four bar fill between like transitions and stuff. A lot of people will just filter out the lows of their kick and use that as the transition, but I actually like it this way because you still get a bit of that low end. It's just a lot shorter, and I think that just sounds better in a song personally. So this is the way that I always do it. So let's see how that sounds with everything else. We can also sidechain this. So you notice when I open this, it goes straight to sidechain. The reason is because I actually saved this as my default preset. So if you right click and do save as default preset, it really can speed up your workflow. So I use the glue compressor for my regular compression needs, and I pretty much only use this compressor when I'm sidechaining. So I already have it set up to sidechain, and I have it set up with the threshold already down, the attack and the release where I like it. It's just a way to speed everything up. So we can actually bring this down a little bit, I think, or up, I guess. Okay, here's an issue. We want to go to 100, not 127. I try to never go over 100. I find that you're going to oftentimes get some digital distortion. You're going to clip. Unlike Carnage, I don't need everything way much more louder. I'm kind of cool with how it sounds when the velocity is just at 100. If we want it louder, we can do this. So let's see how that sounds. Okay, I think that's sounding pretty good for now. We can move on to the next couple pieces of our drums. Let's see what we got here. Do another drum rack. We'll call this clap. And for this, I actually ended up layering quite a few. So I'll just start loading these in. The 909 clap and snare are just useful to kind of beef things up. I usually have them more in the background because I don't want it to sound obvious that it's just a straight up 909, but it's just such a nice sound that you really can't deny it. So let's see what we have here. Okay, so let's make a MIDI channel. And we're going to have everything on the 2 and the 4. Down to 100. You can also press C or V on your keyboard. As you can see, it's like automatically going down, and that just makes it so your default note is a lower velocity. So we'll just do this. Kind of want these to be a little bit past the 2 and the 4 so that they sort of like snap onto the kick when the transient hits, if you can tell the difference. So because there's a bit of an attack on like real claps, I just have them a little earlier. Bring this. We don't need this yet. So we can bring these down quite a bit. Okay. So now if we duplicate that. Oops, that's not right. Put on the 2 and the 4, and then 2 and the 4. And we can also bring the velocity volume up. You can right click and do copy to siblings, and that'll just do it for all of them. It's a quick way to get through it all. That snare can actually bring the decay down on that. I kind of just want that top end, but not all the tail of it. Yeah, see, a lot shorter. And we'll do the release like 200, and we can copy that to siblings too. So you hear that like that nice sort of airy tone from this clave that we have. We can bring that down a little bit, but it kind of just adds another percussion thing on the 2 and 4 that just gives it a nice tone, in my opinion. And we can mix it up so that maybe on the 4s, the clap comes a little earlier and the clave comes a little, or sorry, later, and the clave comes a little earlier. It's very subtle, but you can make a difference. Now let's add, you can add like some incidentals maybe one on the first one. This is actually, oops, that sample I think is just 2 hits, yeah. Which is kind of nice, just to give it some variation, you know. Now we can probably bring this, what's another good spot for it? Maybe instead of on the same time, we'll do it after it, right here. Yeah, it sounds nice. But actually, let's duplicate this whole thing and have it all be a little less, or a little more sparse, so that it doesn't get too repetitive and it kind of sounds special when these little incidentals happen, because it's not as often. velocity down. Cool. I still think this might also have a little too much sustain, so we'll take that down so that it kind of gets rid of some of that tail, and that's more snappy. That sounds good. So for processing the clap, I love this bright snare preset of Corpus. Basically creates a drum in and of itself. It's like a membrane emulation, I guess you would call it. So you can make it in G, so it's sort of in key. I usually never go over 10%. It's very sensitive, it's very powerful, but it does add a little bit of snap. See? Okay. We'll put an EQ just for safety. Get some of that punch in there, but get the ultra low end out. And then we can do just a bit of compression. I do use this compressor for claps sometimes just because I like the this preset. It's just quick and easy. It works. Let's make sure we're not. So you can see we're sort of clipping here. So a quick way to fix that is go into this mode. We'll just move everything like -5 just to be safe. Copy that to siblings. Then we can bring this up 5. Cool. So I have an idea to mix it up a little bit, especially since this is an incidental one of the times that it plays. We can use the Haas effect, which is just creating a ping pong delay, and you just make it super short. So the left side will make 15 milliseconds, the right side will make 1 millisecond, which is essentially the hit of itself. By making it dry wet 100, you're basically just getting that left and that right side and not in the middle. And because they're slightly farther or slightly off time, it sounds super wide. It's just an auditory phenomenon, really. So if we just solo that. Yeah, it sounds better. Sometimes you have to pick one or the other, and one will sound better just based on the how the original clip is created. So now we have this nice little wide ear candy coming in, which is nice. Sounds like this is looping, is it? No, okay. So next, I think we can go to the open hat. We'll make another drum rack. So here's a really cool thing that I like to do. I'll find 2 samples that have pretty long sustain. Oops, unsolo. So those are both pretty like lengthy samples as far as hi-hats are concerned. That one's great too. And the reason I do this is because if you have something that's extra sustained, you can duplicate it and alter the length and make the first one really short. So no sustain, maybe like 100 decay. And now you have this really short shaker. The next one, maybe 300, maybe 400. And then the last one full. Maybe even do more. So now you have basically 3 variations of the same drum hit, and it allows you to like mess with the groove more. It allows you to build them up over time. Just gives you a lot more control while still having it be the same sound. So let's do that for this as well. Bring this up to 100, copy to siblings. That's nice. And then, so I like that sound. We're not really going to use the whole thing. It's a little off time and it's long, but if you just sort of pick a nice spot and then mess with the decay and the sustain, you suddenly have a hi-hat that has a nice little shaker tail. So let's maybe make a second one and do that over here. So you got a lot of options. And this is sort of how I normally start out. I'll just come up with a couple different types of hats or shakers that I can use in my drum rack and then just sort of play around until I get something that I like. So let's see. We're obviously going to want it on the offbeat. Cool. Sounding pretty good. And maybe we'll do, let's see, bring this down. Do something like this. Or you know what, maybe we'll just layer every other hit with that shaker sound. So that'll give it some push and pull. And then we'll do this one, the other one. I think I like it the other way better. And I like doing this, so sort of like alternating, because the pitch of these is slightly different. So now you get this nice little groove going, and it has this nice natural variation to it. Let's see what else we can do. Maybe we'll have a little something here. Something like a lot less. Duplicate it, make it a little bigger. Oops. Okay, I like that. Let's see, we have a 4-bar pattern, so maybe this next one we make a little bigger or a little longer. Let's see how that sounds. Cool, I like that, but I think we need to make this attack a little more. And that's just to make it more of a shaker with sort of like some slushiness that isn't so harsh. the transient heavy, I guess. Yeah, that's nice. So maybe this one, we actually don't give it any attack, so it is sort of hi-hatty. Yeah, that's nice. So it sounds like it's the same instrument, same drum. Okay, I think that's sounding pretty good. We'll call that open hats. And let's get some EQ in there because we don't really need a lot of this low end. I like to make my low pass, or sorry, either one, high pass or low pass, my EQ, I usually like to use just the regular 12 dB ones, not the 48 dB ones. And I like to bring the resonance down so that you just have this nice smooth filter fade out rather than anything harsh that could cause some resonance wherever the filter is, like up here. Doesn't matter as much with drums, but it's just a good habit that I use. Okay, so for hats, we can make a couple different patterns just before we start arranging, but we can just have like something to give us a little idea. So maybe we have one that's just straight 16th notes. Oops. 16th notes. A little too long of a decay, so we'll bring that back. This is purely like a hi-hat sound. Let's do that same thing we did with the claps so we don't run into any clipping. We'll make them different colors so we can tell once we arrange it. Let's see, what else could we do? I guess we could make it like a bigger open hat for the climax. We layer that with some of the noise ones. That last one's going to be too long, so we'll take it down a little bit. Make it like 1600. Give them all some attack. So we have a bunch of options now, that's good. We can always add more, but this is a good start. Usually once I have the clap and the open hats done, I'll start searching around for top loops just to see if there's anything interesting that can inspire another idea. I like to work with brush loops a lot, especially in like a softer song like this. Don't be afraid to change the to transpose your loops and your samples when it comes to drums. Sometimes just one semitone can make like a world of difference, especially if their drums are more tonal, and there's like an actual note in them. So you can get rid of the lows, obviously. Maybe tame the highs a tiny bit because we'll have a bunch of other high-end stuff. Call this brushes. Yeah, so that nice little, just a nice little extra bit that really makes a difference. Especially because the velocities, it's a much more dynamic loop than what I'm making. This is like pretty standard and stagnant, but some of the hits are a lot louder than others, which really accentuates the groove in it. Let's see what else we could. Usually I'll go to like my modular synth or some piece of hardware that like can make drum sounds, and that's just to see if I can come up with anything unique that no one else will have because it's, my own hardware. And I remember I came up with this. I was using like a noise generator, an oscillator on really low volume, and then Mutable Instruments Clouds, which is a Eurorack module. That's too slow. And I remember that I got this cool like bell tambourine shaker sound, and when I ran it through Clouds, it gave it this like glitchy feel. That little thing right there. So I looped a pattern of 3 bars so that it would constantly be changing like a polyrhythm, so that this little glitchy part right here would not fall at the same spot in like a 4-bar loop. It would just keep changing, which sort of adds that bit of ear candy around. So we'll call this modular shaker. And it's really heavy on the left, so maybe we'll just take this brush loop and make it on the right. So another cool tip, rather than use Ableton's pan, I like to use Waves S1 Imager. There's a lot of different plugins that do this, but essentially if you use this, and this is a stereo loop, so the left side's different than the right side, you're not panning it, you're just balancing it. So by 50L, that's not saying the entire sample or the entire loop is shifted to the left. It's saying you're only hearing the left side. And 50 right, you're only hearing the right side. Something in between, it's just balancing the volume between the left and the right side. So for example, in this modular shaker, if I go full left, the volume doesn't change. If I go full right, it's a lot quieter. It's hard to notice, but we're basically not panning it, we're balancing it. So I like to use this because for stereo loops, it keeps them stereo and just tilts the entire sound. This actually sounds like a mono loop, so it might not even matter. But just in case, I like using that. So because this is on the left, we'll have the brushes on the right, balancing it out a little bit. Now it's a little too heavy on the left, so I'm going to just bring it a little more to the right, and we can use that balance because it's a volume issue that I'm identifying, not a panning issue. I like the sound, but I think, yeah, if we brought it 5 semitones up, now it's a little more of like a tambourine kind of sound. Get rid of the lows. Yeah, maybe we don't need it. It sounds good like right here. Okay, cool. So making progress. I think I was searching for another top loop, see what was possible, and I found this guy. I thought that it could potentially spice it up a little bit. So let's see what we got. So that's a lot of movement. I think we could get away with just looping the first one and making it a little more repetitive. We don't need that transient on the one. So use LFO tool. And get rid of that. Yeah, it's better. So now we just kind of have like that cricket noise. So this is definitely a stereo sample, so we're not going to want to use the balance. We're going to want to use an actual panning thing. Just a little bit to the left, because it's similar in range to the brush loop. So we want them to be separated. Cool. Let's get an EQ in there. So I'm hearing something. I think it's like... Yeah, so I like that cricket noise, but I think it's going to become too much of a problem. I'd rather have it just more in the background, so by notching it out, you can still hear it, but it's not like overwhelming. I like that, it just adds a little bit more. We'll call that crickets. I'm going to put a limiter on my master so I don't start clipping. And that actually makes me think, if we're already hitting the limiter here, we should probably bring everything down before we go too much farther. So if you select everything and then just everything will go down. So we'll give it 5 dBs of headroom so that we have more space to work with. All right, we're really getting somewhere. I like it. Let's see what else. We don't want to go too crazy with the drums, because I think when I was really making it, and usually when I'm making it, I'll get to arrangement before I flesh out every single drum track. And then once I have the arrangement later on in the song, I'll add drums as needed. But I guess we can add one more. I think this shaker loop was a big part of it. Really great loop. Didn't have to do much to it. Just recorded it with an egg shaker. Just want to get rid of those lows. I think I might have already done it when I first recorded it, but we'll make sure. We'll call that shaker. So there's a lot of drums. We're not going to use it all at once, but just to give us options when we're arranging. Alright, it sounded good. So let's group those. Call that drums. And then what I'll also want to do is make a drum bus. So new audio track, no input. Take all of the drum tracks except for the kick, because I just want the drums, not the kick. Send them all to that new audio track. So shift and then click all. Call that drum bus, and then select in, so it's now receiving the audio from all those channels. So if it's muted, you don't hear anything. So now I can solo this and hear all the drums at once. This is really useful because I can now process them all as a group, which will sort of glue them together, but I can also just quickly solo to hear them separate if I need to. So I highly recommend you start busing things. It's kind of the way to take your music to the next level, especially when it comes to mixing down. So we've got a nice selection of drums here. We've got our bass, we've got our melody, we've got our kick. So I think we're good to go to start doing like a basic arrangement, and then we can fill in the drums as we see fit.